This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place. Either you're first or you're last.
Ain't this what they've been waiting for? You ready?
And now, the W with Walls and the Crew.
Good morning.
Where winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. On 100.1 FM.
Good morning.
And Facebook Live.
Good morning. Another Saturday morning with you guys, the W Show. As always, thank you for tuning in, whether you're in your car on 100.1 FM, One Kansas City Radio, watching us via the W Show KC on Facebook Live or any of our social media platforms. Coming up on today's show, Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes is on the GQ magazine August cover. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but also joining us today is Fox Sports journalist Rob Parker, who has an interesting take on the Chiefs not winning another Super Bowl. And the Kansas City Chiefs have handed out another bag of cash, this time to defensive tackle Chris Jones. We'll have to dive in more on this deal and see how many years he has and how much money exactly he's going to get. And we'll also hear from NBA rocker star James Harden, who has received a lot of flack.
Deservingly so.
All of that coming up shortly. But as always, like I said, we appreciate you spending your morning with us. I'm Steve Walls, and just as each and every other week, we are joined by the other two hosts of our show, my guys, DJ Q and Noah. How you guys doing today?
Good, man.
Doing great.
Excited about our guest.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say, I can't wait to talk to Rob again. When we talked to him in Miami, he had a lot of good knowledge to pass on to us. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
He did. How was your guys' week?
Good, man. Really busy. You know, this new Fifth Avenue, taking Fifth Avenue digital, man. It's really it's taking up a lot of time, but it's worth it.
Heck yeah, man. Anytime you launch something, it's not new for you, but anytime you launch something new for the people, really, it takes up a lot of time, man.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, let's get into today's headlines.
And now, here are the biggest sports headlines from this week. We bring them to you every Saturday morning on the W with Walls and the Crew on 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes is the GQ magazine's August cover star. It's titled "The New Leader of the NFL." He's the face of the new NFL. He's the new face of the NFL, National Football League, and he's the GQ's August cover. He talks about his $500 million contract and pushing the NFL to respond to the Black Lives Matter movement. You guys' thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Noah.
Wait. Say it. Wait. So he said what? Like, because you threw me all the way off with that one. I was kind of paying attention to something else. Say that again.
Well, Patrick Mahomes is on the GQ, August cover of GQ, man. New Leader of the NFL is what it's titled. Your thoughts on this cover?
I mean, I seen, for the pictures. I mean, some of the fits they gave my man is, a little bit questionable. Like that one. That's the one.
With the Yeezy sandals?
Yeah, the Yeezy sandals is all the way. Like, it just ain't me. I'm sorry. But the other fits, they was cool. They weren't that bad. But, GQ, they just give you the full, so I feel like when when GQ dresses you, they just give you the full fit of, one designer. Is that true, Q? Is it like they gave you
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't look at the actual designer. I need to look at that. I mean, it really looks like they went very retro with him. They look
exactly.
They went this jumpsuit as a 90s feel. But you even still look at the other ones, it was a very like retro 70s, disco funk type of feel. You would think, really early Michael Jackson days, Jackson 5 days, really minus the bell bottoms, because it looks like the same, color schemes back then and textures. There's not really bell bottoms in there, but I kind of like it. But it's more fall than summer. But
yeah. I mean, it was some active wear in there,
Yeah.
The jumpsuit is probably my favorite. They got my man's in the pinky ring,
Yeah.
A little popcorn player type, vibe,
Oh yeah, because he definitely looks like he sells drugs on Miami Beach right there.
Oh yeah.
a little Bruno Mars is
really, yeah.
He just needs a beeper.
Yeah, man. Well, if you had to if you could rate it from 1 to 10 on a scale of 10, what would you give that cover?
I like that cover. It made me feel. I kept seeing the side by side with Dion back in the day, the primetime fit. But I'll give that a 7, man. I like it. It's up there.
Yeah, I'm right at a 7. I can't go higher than that just because they put the easy slides on them, which I think are just awful.
Of course.
What up, Rob? What's happening?
What's happening? Good morning.
Good morning, dude. We're joined by a friend of our show, sports journalist Rob Parker of FS1. You can also hear Rob on Fox Sports Radio with Chris Broussard on the show, The Odd Couple. Rob, what's going on, my brother? How are you? How are you and your family?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Hanging in despite the pandemic. Hoping for some baseball on Thursday. I'm excited about that. And then the following week, some basketball. So we'll see what happens. I don't know about football and where that.
We don't either.
Especially college football. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We wanted you to come on the show today and talk about the piece that you wrote titled "Odds Are Mahomes and Chiefs Won't Win Another Super Bowl." And this is coming off the heels of the Mahomes mega deal, which he signed a 10-year contract extension worth $503 million. So, Rob, just talk about that article, man, and what exactly you meant by that.
The history of the NFL. I could go through in the last 20 years. I'll give you 3 quarterbacks. Everybody would have assumed would have won a second Super Bowl, especially after they won their first. There was Kurt Warner and the greatest show on turf. That team, everybody looked at that team and thought for sure that they would win a couple of Super Bowls. They didn't do it. Aaron Rodgers, after he won a Super Bowl in 2010, never even got back. There was a couple of chances to get back to the Super Bowl. Onside kick that the tight end misplayed that would have got them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This year they were in the NFC Championship game. A couple other years, it didn't work out. And then you could also take a look at Russell Wilson and the Legion of Boom. Who would have thought that defense and that guy wouldn't have won another Super Bowl? Doesn't mean you won't get back to it. It just means that it's not automatic. I think everybody thinks it's automatic. Go look at Dan Marino's second year in the NFL. 48 touchdowns. They got to the Super Bowl. Everybody figured Dan Marino would be this great quarterback and he'd have more opportunities to win again. Never got back to the Super Bowl. So the history of the league doesn't work out that way. Even Tom Brady, when people look at his 6 championships, they went 9 years without winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a career for somebody. Only 7 teams in the history of the NFL have only won back-to-back championships. It ain't that easy. And that's really my point, is that it might look easy on paper. Things happen, injuries, plays. You have younger quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson was the best quarterback in the league a year ago. He ain't going anywhere. Deshaun Watson's another great quarterback, young great quarterback. He ain't going nowhere. Then you have the old guard of guys trying to pad their, winning before they get out of the league. So there's Aaron Rodgers trying to win another one. There's Russell Wilson trying to win another one. There's Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. There's Drew Brees trying to win another one. So I'm just saying that there's all these other obstacles there, and I think it'll be difficult to to A, repeat, which everybody thinks they're going to repeat, and B, to win multiple. They might win a second one. I mean, Peyton Manning won a second one at the end of his career when he was terrible, right? They had a great defense.
He was awful that one year.
But Peyton Manning won all of those MVPs, put up all those numbers, and was lucky to win his second one. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, and you make a great point, especially with Russell Wilson. You think about that time, what was that, around 2015, I think it was, 2014, 2015, and they seemed unstoppable. You had Marshawn Lynch. That's when Beast Mode got branded. You look at how great that team was, and as you said, that defense, that Legion of Boom, you didn't expect them to really to lose ever, especially with that defensive backfield that they had. Like those D-backs were crazy. Like it was crazy to see.
Definitely, you thought they were going to win multiple. I mean, the way that team was set up, and they had all their players. They had Russell Wilson on a cheap contract, so they had money for everybody. All those things that people are talking about with the Chiefs were in place, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So would you say are you saying because of the contract that Patrick Mahomes now has, it's going to take up a significant amount of cap, and it's going to increase as the cap increases? Do you see the Chiefs struggling after a couple years and, having to, pay certain players or build their team on rookie deals and whatnot? Do you see them struggling after a couple years with this deal?
I mean, it depends on the cap. What happens? Is there a season this year?
Yeah.
There's no season. That changes the salary cap, what the number is. As you go on, these guys who have played for peanuts are going to want to get paid, and they might move on. So the window is still there. I just wonder about the competition of it all.
Yeah.
And when you talk about Mahomes' contract, I also wrote a column on Deadspin.com. I thought he blew that opportunity. I thought Patrick Mahomes should have had a fully guaranteed contract. I think he should have set the standard for the NFL.
Yes.
He had the leverage, and he took a deal that, when you really look at it, isn't that great. And I know people look at the 503, but it's not all guaranteed.
Right.
Mike Trout has a contract with the Angels for $426. He's going to get every nickel,
every dollar.
Right. There's no guarantee that Mahomes is. And if they gave Kirk Cousins a fully guaranteed, and I know it was only 3 years, Patrick Mahomes deserved a 6 or 7 year fully guaranteed contract rather than taking the deal that he took.
And you look at the vanity of the numbers. I remember seeing breakdowns that whole week of just how he compares to. I think he was. I think it went in the long run. It was like he was a third highest player or something like that. Just even how the numbers broke down. But I know there's that sliding scale in there that he has for the cap. But you're right. It makes no sense that it wasn't fully guaranteed. And you look at a team like the Chiefs that would value a player of this caliber. Yes, he definitely should.
They would have no choice. They would have
no
choice.
Yeah.
What do you I'm
think,
sorry.
as far as it's more of a team friendly deal. And I've been saying this, we've all been saying this, that he wants to keep guys around him, and so that the Chiefs be able to pay these guys.
That's not his job. I think that's the biggest. I think that's phony and fraudulent that he's supposed to manage the cap and figure out, helping the team. Because when the team's ready to let you go or release you, they don't ask you about any of that stuff. That's just not his
They don't
job.
make sure you land on your feet.
I was just he's great point. Like they don't like set anything up to where you don't just fall all the way off. Like they just let you go, and then wherever you land, that's where you land. So that is certainly true. So
and they use, to me, you let down all the other players in the league, because when you do that and you devalue what your number is, you devalue everybody's number. I'm gonna give you an example in baseball. When A-Rod was leaving the Texas Rangers and he wanted to go to the Red Sox, the Red Sox wanted him to take a pay cut. And the union stepped in and said, you can't take a pay cut. And you would say, well, why not? If he agrees to it, it's his money, right? It's if he wants to go to Boston. But once you do that, you open up the can of worms for everybody. And then other owners are like, well, A-Rod took a pay cut and he wanted to come.
Yeah.
Why don't you do that? You shouldn't do that. You know, Sammy Watkins was talking about how much is enough. I don't know. Ask Bill Gates. Ask Clark.
Right.
You know, ask the owner of the Chiefs how much is enough. I mean, when I hear guys say that, I just don't. I think it's financial suicide. And let's just be honest. An NFL career, the average career is 3.5, 4 years.
Yeah.
And the majority, I don't know. I saw one number was 78%. It might be a little lower now. But at one point back in 2015 or 2012 or somewhere like that, 78% of all NFL players after 5 years of retirement filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are real numbers.
Right.
Yeah. And there was, I mean, the network even did, what was it, a 30 for 30 broke on it. You looked at stars like Andre Rison that were at the top of his game, but still making, you know, a good bit of money, and they wasted it. And I think players now probably are a little more cognizant of that. But you, like you said, you still look at these guys 2-3 years in the league, and you get used to spending a certain amount of money. You know, that train has to keep going. So.
And that's the biggest problem. Yeah, is that you're not sure. You know, injuries, whatnot. Yeah. All the money's not guaranteed. I know players, and then they're remember, you get out and one of your kids or your wife or you get sick, and you only get health care 5 years for 5 years, 5 years after you retire. So imagine you retire in the NFL, you're 30 years old. You get health care for 5 years, you're 35. Now what about the next 30 or 40 years? That's on your dime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you haven't invested in anything, or you have any outside businesses that you made, connections you made while in the league, you kind of, or under a degree, kind of on your butt cheeks.
And you bring up another good point too. And they talked about this, you know, they touched on it on Ballers last season about the players having free healthcare for life once they're in the league. And I think it was like it was a short stint. It was like if you played at least 3 full seasons or something like that. But that's an upcoming discussion, you know, that needs to hain, because you look at
those guys aren't willing to fight for it. And shame on them.
Yeah.
Shame on the union, because I'll tell you, in baseball, if you play one day in the major leagues, you qualify for health care.
Wow.
And if you play like a week or what, I can't remember the exact. You play a week, you're automatically involved. You automatically are vested in the pension. I mean, we talk about one day, or you make a major league roster, or you play a week or 2 weeks in baseball, and you're in. This is what I'm trying to tell you is, until they're willing to fight and put up a fight to get. All the NFL does is brag about how much money it makes, but it doesn't take care of the players
at all.
And the players are short-sighted, man, and they don't want to miss out on anything. And they're like, well, we only got a few years to play, but sometimes if you band together, everybody will get paid if you band together.
Yeah.
And you look out for the people coming behind you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Keith.
Well, no, I was gonna say, because we had a talk with a K-State basketball player. It was a female basketball player that came on a couple of weeks ago, talking about the incident with the student making a hate group basically on campus, and she talked about them demanding policy change, and they were saying, "Oh, it'll take about a year or so," and she was like, "No, we want it now, or we're not playing." And so you look at that. You know, that mentality. And it seems like, especially with this recent CBA deal, like it didn't make half as much noise as the last CBA deal from the NFL. So he makes a great point, because they're not willing to fight, and they're so short-sighted. It's like frustrating, especially as a fan.
Because the problem with the NFL always is you can't vote whether you want to get paid or not. Everybody's going to vote to get paid. So see, that's the problem, and that's how it's always set up. Do you want to get paid or not? In Major League Baseball, and we've had 26 years of labor peace, so things have been good. They got a deal coming up after this season, after next season, and so we'll have to see. But it's been 26 years since the strike in '94. But my point is, they have a war chest. So when they're ready to go battle against the owners, if you're a player and you need money or you need to pay your mortgages or your bills, you go to the union and they pay those bills for you. When you get your money back, you put it back into the war chest. So you don't hear nobody squawking about, oh, I want to play, and you don't take a bad deal because you need money. And see, the NFL owners know that the union doesn't have that kind of war chest, so they know that it's just a matter of time before these guys are going to crumble and come back to the table and take whatever we give them.
And it keeps happening, especially with Jerry Jones in that room.
Yeah, no, the owners they have their thumb on the players for real when it comes to the labor deals and things like that. What about the NBA though? I'm curious as to, because the NBA is always portrayed as this progressive league. I'm wondering, how is their labor negotiations, I guess, with their owners? Do you feel like it's in a better place, like more towards baseball, or do you feel like it's more towards the football side, the NFL side?
No, it's closer to baseball. Obviously, they got guaranteed contracts, and they have way better benefits than the NFL. The NFL's worse, the absolute worst, considering where that league is and the revenue that it generates. That's the embarrassing thing. I'll give you the perfect example. When they had the CTE settlement with the owners and the players union, they took that to a judge. Normally, when two sides agree on a settlement, all the judge does is sign it and it's done, right? Because both sides have agreed. The judge rejected the deal and sent it back to the union and said, there's not enough money here. How did you agree on? This is the judge.
Wow.
I mean, everybody in the union should have been fired that day for a judge to reject a settlement that was agreed upon by the union.
And we forget that part. Yeah, we definitely forget that part.
Wow.
Rob, we know your schedule's tight today. So final question for you, man. We want to make a bet with you about this Chiefs team. So you feel like they won't get to another Super Bowl or win another?
I didn't say they wouldn't get there.
Well, how about win another Super Bowl?
I said chances are that they won't win. Let's bet this one, that they will not win this year. They will not win back to back.
Okay.
And here's I just want to give you some of my history. I worked in Detroit for a long time. I worked at both papers, had a radio show and TV and locally in Detroit. And Tom Izzo won the NCAA championship in 2000.
Yeah, I remember it well.
Yep. And maybe 2 years later, everybody was telling me about Tom Izzo or whatever. And back then, I don't want to say it was 2000 after he won, but I say like right after that, 2002, I said he would never win another championship. And now it's been 20 years since Tom Izzo, going on 21, since he won a championship. And my point is the same thing in college basketball. There's so many coaches who have won one, and it doesn't automatically mean you're just because you won. And Tom Izzo's been to many Final Fours, right, and all that. I'm talking about, it's not about getting back. Seattle went back and they were at the 1 yard line and they didn't win. I mean, so that's my point. I'm not saying they'll never get back there. I'm just saying, I'm going to say we can make a bet, 20 wings from Wingstop with a large Diet Coke. And I'm saying they will not win the Super Bowl this coming year.
Okay. That's
all right, I like it. So who's on the other end of this bet? Who's on the other end of this bet? So
Steve.
You got Rob and you got Steve.
Hey,
so all right.
A mixed plate from Gates Barbecue.
I got dead spin money for y'all. So I'm gonna bet all of y'all 20 wings each, and y'all all pay up 20 wings.
I'm cool with it.
Okay.
Hey, I'm cool with it.
We'll do that.
Yeah, I'm cool
You know
with
what?
it.
And just a little fact for you, there were 4 inches away from winning, I think, back-to-back Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But they didn't win.
They didn't. Yeah.
And
You could add all the butts.
Rob, as always, man, we appreciate you joining us today, sir.
All right.
Definitely. Thank you
Thanks,
again.
guys. Take it easy. Stay
Thank
safe.
you. All right.
All right, man. You too.
All right, that was Rob Parker. He has some great insight today, man. Great stuff. We appreciate everybody joining us also today. We're going to take a quick break. Broadcasting live 100.1 FM, The W.
You're tuned in to The W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live. You're tuned in to The W with Walls and the Crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Back in on the W 100.1 FM, One Kansas City Radio, broadcasting live from our virtual studio. Fellas, let's get into the rest of our headline segment. The Kansas City Chiefs have handed out another bag of cash. NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reported Tuesday that the Chiefs and star defensive tackle Chris Jones agreed to a 4-year contract worth $85 million per the agents, and the deal includes $60 million in total guarantees upon signing.
Wow.
We called it. I mean, maybe not the deal, but we said they gonna do their best to get him signed, and I'm happy he signed. I'm sure Chiefs Nation is happy he signed.
Hold on, wait, not Chiefs Nation, Chiefs Kingdom.
Chiefs Kingdom.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
My bad. But yeah. No, this is I'm no Chiefs fan here, obviously, but I'm really, really glad they re-signed him because he deserved it after the season he put in, especially in the playoffs. So
no, it's deserving. We talked about it last week about him, changing the defense, the makeup of the defense, and especially on that front line. He's physical, he's big, he's not necessarily a run stopper, but he's able to move the line of scrimmage back, backwards. And being able to do that, it's invaluable. You look at JJ Watt, what he did for a certain amount of time. We could even go back a couple of years ago with Justin Houston. Come to that, bro. But yeah, I mean, Chris Jones is a force in the middle. He's young, he's hungry. After him getting paid, he's gonna have to put up here. And he's going to have to keep that production high. But you look at a guy like him, and we've talked to him plenty of times throughout this season and through Super Bowl week. And you see the hunger in him, you see the competitive nature in him. So you don't really think that, this contract would make him be lesser than what he's been. But I love that he gets it. I love seeing these young guys being able to get this money and to be able to live their dreams, but then do it comfortably. I still hate that the NFL is not fully guaranteed. And we talked about the healthcare issue. So, we would hope that would get better, especially in the next, I would hope year, especially after the pandemic. We've got the pandemic going on, and if any player gets COVID, we know that we know now that, it could have some lasting effects. So, it's a moment to celebrate, but there's still work to do.
And both sides had until Wednesday at 4 p.m. to get a multi-year deal done. Otherwise, you would have been a restricted free agent. He would have been playing for about $16.1 million under the franchise tag, and so they got the deal done, which he'll get about 21 and a half million per year on that 4-year extension, what puts him behind Aaron Donald and a little bit ahead of DeForest Buckner, who signed a $4 million deal.
And that's some good company to be in, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, it's how Patrick structured his deal allowed this to happen.
Yeah, no, and that's it, and that's what you a part of what you respect about Patrick, just being able to add that that team friendly deal, to be able to add that piece that you need on the opposite side, and he definitely needs it.
All right, so Madden. Shout out to all you Madden fans. You guys, EA Sports has released the Madden 99 Club, which for Madden 21, if you're not a gamer and don't know what the Madden 99 Club is, so the 99 Club is a prestigious fraternity, and this is from Madden Online, and it's reserved for the most elite players in the NFL. Or 99 overall rating is considered the Madden Rating Summit, and it's the highest rating a player can achieve in the game. Now, no, you're a gamer. How you feel about this 99 Club, man?
They came up. I mean, I feel like most of the people who play Madden would say this. Madden has been kind of, on the downward slide a little bit these past couple of years. The ratings have kind of been uneven, to say the least. I mean, obviously we got Patrick Mahomes, we got Aaron Donald. I feel like those are guys that, deserve. I mean, all the guys deserve it. I'm not going to say nobody deserves it, but if I feel like Madden was really in tune, I would say that Aaron Donald and Patrick would be the only two 99s in the game. I mean, just that would just be if I felt like Madden was really doing his job, because you got Gronk at like 95. He hasn't played in 2 years. The ratings are kind of uneven, and I feel like everybody would agree with me who watched the NFL last year, but. I haven't played Madden in about 2 years.
Okay.
So it's strictly 2K.
But what does a 99 do for a player, though? I mean, for people that don't.
I mean, it basically just says, hey, you played really, really well last year, so we're gonna make you dang near unstoppable on the video game, which that's basically really all it is. So you got Christian McCaffrey, Stephen Gilmore, and Michael Thomas joining Patrick and Aaron. So basically means that if you're playing with the Panthers and you're running the ball with Christian McCaffrey, he's going to be almost impossible to tackle. And even if you're playing with the Patriots and and he's on defense, he's on the field, whoever receiver is covering, it's going to be hard for them to get a catch. So that's where skill comes in. That's where like actual skill in the game comes into play if you're playing against these players in Madden. So.
Yeah, and I like a lot of those on that list. I think it's still too early to give it to Christian McCaffrey.
Oh yeah, I think
it's way too early.
Yeah. He's not that much better than a Zeke or a Saquon Barkley.
Because if the 99 is given to any running back in the league, it's definitely Saquon. I mean, he does so much for that team, and Christian McCaffrey does a lot for his team. But I mean, you look at the average running back, 3 years of success, and this is what his third year. So he's going to have a lot to live up to in that. And you hope, especially as a Panthers fan, you would hope he does well. But that 99, that's a lot for him.
I'll be feeling like 99 is a lot really for anybody.
Yeah.
If we be like on the video game,
But a lot of guys are getting upset that they don't have 99s. I mean, there's a lot of not only fans but players who were upset that Michael Thomas can't guard Mike received the 99 this year.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah, he's had a couple of good seasons. He's definitely had a couple of good seasons.
I ain't gonna hate on the man, but 99, I'd be feeling like it's literally
it's up there.
When I say impossible,
it's up there.
When I say impossible to guard, like he's going to be impossible to guard. Like that's what it's gonna mean. So,
and Grant Lewis is of course a New Orleans Saints fan. He said that Michael Thomas is a 99, bro.
Yeah, Grant, what up?
All right, the Washington's NFL team will change their name and logo, team says. So the announcement comes just days after the team said that a thorough review of the name will be conducted. The name has been long denounced by Native American groups as an ethnic slur.
No, I mean, they've been saying it 40, 50 years. They've literally been saying it. I'm glad it's finally happening. And I hope for all of the indigenous nations that are in this country really get the justice that they deserve, that all of these teams remove the insignia, remove these mascots and the mockery that they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's long overdue. It was disrespectful the whole time through the process of them acting like they were thinking about changing the name in the years past. And so we're just finally glad it's here and we can like move this chapter of history, like just move it, like this. Yeah. Really, I want it to be gone, delete it, whatever, whatever. Yeah, because it's just not a good chapter in the NFL story of them retaining this name. So.
And you look at a lot of teams, especially in the 50s. I mean, you can go back to the 50s and 60s with a lot of the blatantly racist mascots and characters that they had, and removing those things around the 60s, really around the 70s and 80s, they started removing a lot of it. And you can go back on Google. I mean, you can even look at the Chiefs in the past, and a lot of the insignia that they had. It was blatantly racist, and it was a blatant mockery of a culture. And they deleted a lot of it from their websites and their history, but it's still on the internet, and those photos and those different things are still out there. And it's a shame that it's taken, decades, almost a century, just for them to consider it.
As news of Washington changing their name surfaced this week, more news surrounding the organization developed this week, where 15 women said that they were sexually harassed.
Wow.
Employees of the Washington's NFL team. So 15 women who are former employees of the Washington NFL team say they were sexually harassed between 2006 and 2019 by other employees of the organization, including some members of the owner Dan Snyder's inner circle. So Snyder has since hired an outside law firm to investigate and be unbiased by their findings.
And it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise at all. You look at, what was it, just 3-4 years ago, the report came out about this same team owner, basically using his dance team and his cheerleaders as bait for investors, and basically selling them off. So, he was pimping his employees, in which, it's wild. So even just to hear this about the same guy that has a racial slur as his team name, like it isn't a surprise. And the NFL should act just as swiftly on this as they did with Ray Rice. And that wasn't even swift, because it took the video actually leaking for them to even make a second move. Like he got punished twice. So, he gets punished twice, but this guy is sex trafficking his employees. So, that's an even bigger issue. And the NFL should act. They should definitely act swiftly. But they're probably going to sit on their hands.
We just from the history of the NFL, it sucks to say, but we say it every week. They put money before people, and obviously this is a very it's a very sticky issue when you're dealing with sexual harassment, rape, things of this sort. But when it's reported, you have to look into it. You have to look into it, as Steve said early, unbiased, which I'm not even sure himself hiring an outside source, that just spells bad news to me.
And exactly.
He's the one paying the bill. He's the one that but hopefully we can get this resolved. These women can get the justice that they deserve. Everybody knows this is it's a rampant issue throughout sports, as far as the women running into men that are just like Alexa said, just inappropriate. And she can speak to that, being working for a couple organizations and being in sports herself. She can speak to that. But yeah, we're not surprised. Unfortunately, it sucks. It really does. But I mean, racial slur, Redskins keeping it. Like could we really expected better? I guess. So
No, I don't expect better, and even to have Alexa being in here to say, it definitely can be super inappropriate. Friend of the show, Steve Sheena, came out a couple of weeks ago with her stories about Rob over at BSO and a couple of women coming out and saying how inappropriate he had been. So, it's past time for men to really have this discussion between each other, and being able to recognize this predatory behavior and the beliefs that we have held, and to be able to hold each other accountable, and to be able to realize that, women have a very different perspective, and we have to respect that just as much as we respect each other.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we're going to get into our sneakers of the week in our Hate It or Love It segment. Plus, we're going to hear from James Harden, and we're going to talk a little NBA with LeBron James. We'll be right back to W.
Steve Walls, DJ Q, Noel. And this is the W on 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Sway.
You're tuned in to the W with Walls and the crew, where winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. On 100.1 FM and Facebook Live.
Back in on the W, 100.1 FM, the W show. Let's get into our Hate It or Love It segment, guys.
Hate it.
It's that time for Love It or Hate It.
Hate it.
If we love it, we talk about it. If we hate it, we move on.
All right, our sneakers of the week. This week is kind of so
you crazy. I'm copping 3 of these off top.
All right, as a partner with Nike SB Dunk for the low tops. What do you think about these, Noel? Since you get 3 of the 4 you're gonna get.
Yeah. These are one of them. Dunks are in right now. They're making a comeback. Obviously, these are the skateboard version of the Dunks. Mm-hmm. They have always been a prominent line in Nike, but I mean, they're different. That's the thing about Dunks is like when you rocking Dunks, like they look like every other Nike shoe if you got the regular ones. But if you can pull off some different ones, then that's what it is, and that's what these are. I never listened to a Grateful Dead song. I don't even know.
Looks like carpet on the Dunk.
It is. No, it is. It's some sort of
It's like Sherpa. It's like Sherpa. The thing that was the material that was very popular this past fall and winter. Yeah, that's that Sherpa. And I hate these. But as much as I hate them, I'd wear them.
Yeah.
Like I'd wear them because they're
see yourself. Yeah.
And just like we talked about with Pat, like those pants he had on in that GQ spread, they were definitely hideous, but you can pull them off. And that's the thing about fashion. It's some ugly pieces you could really pull off. Word to Andre 3000.
Yeah, he been doing it his whole career, and nobody really said it to him. So
yeah. All right, so Adidas Yeezy top left 350 the Zions. You guys
trash. I never liked those Yeezys.
Yeah, those are just regular. I mean, they're just Yeezys. And at this point, that so many of them come out, like it's just like whatever.
All right, Air Jordan 11 low, i.e. the black cements. These are tough.
I saw them on feet, and I was like, you know what? That ain't bad. At first, when I saw them, I was like, no. But when I saw them on feet, I'm like, you know what? They not bad.
Is that what you said to yourself? You know what?
Yeah, exactly what I said.
Yeah, I'm not really rocking with them, but like Noel said, you probably have to see them on feet. But no.
All right, so last but not least, the Nike ISPA Road Warrior. These are valued at $500 retail.
I like these. These are giving me Mad Max vibes.
End of the world vibes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so out of the four, how are you guys ranking these? I
would wear the ugliest ones.
I'm going. The Dunks are number one. The Cements are two. The Yeezys are three, and then the Road Warriors. I don't know what's going on there. I'd have to see them because it looks like a lot.
Yeah, and mine is clockwise. It goes Dunks, Road Warriors, Black Cement, then Yeezys. I hate to put those Black Cements next to the Yeezys, but
All right, guys. You guys' favorite NBA player, LeBron James.
He's yours too. He played for your Lakers.
Yeah.
So LeBron James says that he would not wear the social justice message on the back of his jersey. So as part of the league's recognition of the worldwide anti-racism protest, which was sparked by the death of George Floyd, NBA players are allowed to choose from a lengthy list of possible messages for their players for the back of their jerseys during the NBA league's restart. So LeBron James said that he will not wear the NBA approved social justice messages on the back of his jersey. He said, and I quote, "It was no disrespect to the list that was handed down to all the players, and I commend everyone that decides to put something on the back of their jersey, but this is something I didn't seriously resonate with my mission or my goal. Hate it or love it."
Love it.
Yeah, I think he should pick an issue, but I understand how big he is, and the type of branding that he allows. I mean, he puts on anything, and that brand explodes. Which for me is why he should pick something, especially week to week. Like I think he can go week to week with something different. I don't know if they allow that or not. But I think he would be able to pull that off, and that would just make a much bigger statement. But then I understand his side of it.
I looked, and that's a great point, though, by the way, the week to week, that's a great idea, Q. But I just looked at it as he felt like he didn't, whatever list there was, and I don't know if the NBA released the list or not of what the players were able to choose, but if he felt like he didn't resonate with him, he wasn't feeling what were given to him as choices. I feel like why put anything? They already know. Everybody knows what LeBron James stands for. Everybody already knows. So I feel like if he didn't see a message that really like he felt in his heart, then hey, you already know where I stand with many organizations that are, out there to help, Black people as a whole. I have my own Black-owned media company. I can pump out my own,
definitely
stuff. So I usually, if it was anybody else, I feel like then I would feel like, man, you should do this because this is for the movement. But for him, I'm not questioning whether he's behind it or not. So
because there's no question with LeBron. I think with LeBron, he has earned that right. I mean, he's done a lot without even being asked. I mean, even just a school that he opened, it says enough, and he's playing his part. But again, that's him being a trailblazer just off the court, and being able to make those moves, with the right conscience in mind. Because he could have easily gone to VH1 and did a Basketball Wives type of spinoff with him and his wife. But he created his own production company, and he's telling stories that aren't being told in Hollywood. Frankly, these stories aren't being told, and they're being ignored. So LeBron has earned that.
All right, Rockets guard James Harden says his mask that he wore is not a political statement.
Clown.
So Houston Rockets guard James Harden said he did not intend to make a political statement by wearing a thin blue line mask Thursday, and that he was unaware of what the mask represented. So the thin blue line mask is with the American flag, as you guys can see. He wore that earlier this week. And let's hear from James Harden and what he had to say.
Honestly, I wasn't trying to make a political statement. I honestly wore it just because it covered my whole face, my mask, my beard. It's pretty simple. Like, as I clearly talked about yesterday, me finding a way to, whether it's my jersey name or another way to show my support for the Black Lives Matter. So it's pretty simple. And I honestly, like in every profession, there's people that honestly do their job at a high level, and then there's BS people in every profession. So that was it. It wasn't here to make a political statement.
Are you any further along in deciding what you might want to do with the back of your uniform?
No. But I'm in the process of doing it right now. So.
Thank you.
Tim McMahon.
Hi, James. Were you aware of what that mask represented?
No, it was just, I felt like it was just something to, cover my whole face, my beard, and the mask that I've worn before, kind of stopped right here. So it was something that it just covered my whole beard. I thought it was, it looked cool. That was it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so that American flag with the blue line as one of the stripes show support for law enforcement. The flag, as well as a Punisher skull, was on Harden's mask, and sometimes seen as symbols that are against the Black Lives Matter movement. So Harden's response to wearing the mask, hate it or love it.
I
just got to learn. He just got to learn more. He got to be more cognizant of what's going on. He can't just be putting on anything. But that's really for anybody, anywhere. So mistakes were made.
I mean, this is the same mistake that Deshaun Jackson made last week or the week before. Whenever he made his mistake, he put out a quote that he didn't necessarily know what it was. And for James being at the level that he's at, he should know what he's putting on his face. And especially as an NBA player, and especially in this climate, it's like, read the room, James. So, I called him a clown on reaction, and I can take that back just because as Black people, we need to have more grace with each other, and especially in these moments of ignorance.
He still gets a
big dummy.
You still get the slap in the back of the head. Like you don't avoid that. But he needs to understand what that represents. And even in Steve, what he said, the thin blue line, it shows support for law enforcement. And I would say it's the exact opposite. It shows support for lawlessness within law enforcement. The thin blue line is a no snitching policy amongst our public servants paid to protect. So
very good point, Q. I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people they try to conflate issues and say it means this, and really we know it means the complete opposite. So good call, Q.
All right, New York City delays start of high school sports until September 21st. Hate it or love it.
I hate it in the sense that they're anticipating a return before 2021. But I love it in the sense that they're pushing it back and not being, as aggressive as the NFL trying to start up. But come September, I'm pretty sure that'll push back.
Right.
So we just need to look at all sports happening in the spring, or even in the top of the year. And whatever truncated season that needs to happen, it can happen. But it's just a shame them trying to rush back.
And I proposed this to the Kansas State High School Athletic Association. They posted a tweet earlier this week talking about their return to athletics in the fall. And my proposal was, I think they should delay fall and winter sports to the spring and summer.
Should.
And someone said, well, what about the AAU and summer activities? I was like, well, they just have to get in where they fit in. I mean,
they already going. There's a big AAU tournament right now in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's literally at Hy-Vee Arena. They have one going, and it's a huge one. Like, it's not like a regular your weekend, 3-4 games. This is a big one.
Yeah.
All right, so Mets fans can pay $86 for a cardboard cutout to be in the seats at Citi Field. So Mets announced on Tuesday that anybody can participate in their cardboard cutout program for $86. They plan to put the cutout photos of fans in the stands at Citi Field during their 30 scheduled home games during the 2020 season. Hate it or love it.
I hate it. That they're season ticket holders, they're valued fans. They should get that just off the bat. Right. And then they should. I don't like this charging them, but I understand. I understand it's a business that needs to make money. But then you look at the messaging. There could be some cops that decide to buy a whole section and put Thin Blue Line on there. So now we're telling. So now we're encouraging illegal behavior. Right.
I'm really thinking about sending a photo of myself with a Monarchs hat on.
Yeah,
Steve, that's petty, man. You won't be barred from ever going to New York under the guise of the Royals. You do that.
All right, the Washington Mystics, Elena Deladine says that her medical request was denied by the NBA. The panel of physicians for the WNBA has denied reigning WNBA MVP Elena Deladine's request to opt out of the 2020 season because of medical concerns. A decision she said she was at odds with after she received advice from her personal physician. So the Washington Mystics star and her agent told ESPN on Monday the independent panel of doctors the league appointed to review high-risk cases have been advised that I'm not high risk and should be permitted to play in the bubble. So if she opts out, and the way that the high risk is set up for opting out is that they follow the CDC guidelines. And if her current condition, which is Lyme disease, if that is not on, which is not on the CDC's list, then if she opts out, she'll lose money. She won't be getting paid. But if it's on that list, she opts out, she'll get paid. So hate it or love it.
Hate it, everything about it.
Yeah, I hate it because it's the same thing we talked about with Black women earlier. She falls into that, into one of those categories and being a woman. And, they need to be able to respect that, especially with her having a condition as that. And they should respect it. As far as her being not paid at all, maybe there's a compromise. Maybe she takes some sort of pay cut, during this. There's some sort of job that they can give her that can make her valuable to the team with her not being there. And these organizations just don't try to find a middle ground. But then, just like we talked about with Rob earlier, the team, when they're ready to let you go, there is no middle ground. But
they're doing her wrong.
When it comes to what you can do for them, it's like, oh, well, let's find this middle ground. So, the WNBA, they just,
they missed the mark on this one.
Yeah,
they missed the mark for sure. And especially when you think about what she means to the league.
Yes.
She's literally the best player in the league. I mean, arguably. Can you imagine imagine the NBA doing LeBron James like, oh, well, what's happening to you, the 64 pills that you take daily to treat your disease and to make us money. It doesn't mean anything. No, you're not on whatever, disease you're dealing with every day. Doesn't matter. And you don't have to play. You don't have to be there. But if you aren't there, we're not paying you. It's the craziest thing. When I read the story she put out, I was like, wow, that's insane.
All right, so TNT to debut the arena next week, starring Charles Barkley, Dwayne Wade, Draymond Green, and Kerry Champion. So the show will be based on TNT Studios from a custom set starring Kerry Champion and D Wade. and the Golden State Warriors All-Star Draymond Green. The first show will have episodes talking about COVID-19 pandemic, Black Lives Matter, and systemic racial issues. Hate it or love it.
Love it. I'm excited for it.
All right. Now, Mike Tyson, he's supposed to be fighting a shark. So on Wednesday, the Discovery Channel revealed that its very popular Shark Week will be highlighted by a showdown between Mike Tyson and Great White Shark. Hate it or love it.
I love it because I mean it's Mike getting a bag. Hopefully he's getting a pretty big significant bag, but I love it because I want to see what it is.
Yeah, I gotta tune in for that because it just sounds ridiculous. But
for sure. All right, we appreciate everybody for joining us today on the W Show 100.1 FM, 1 Kansas City Radio. We appreciate Rob Parker of FS1 for joining us. Also, last week, if you want to watch, we had we thank you to Bob Kendrick, NLBM, Negro League Baseball Museum president, for joining us as well. So go back and watch that content. Like us on all social media socials. I keep saying social media. All social media feeds, socials, follow us at the W Show KC. Until next week, we are out.
Peace.
The views and opinions expressed on the W Radio Show by the host, co-host, guests, and call-in listeners are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not represent the opinions of the W Show, 100.1 FM, 1 Kansas City Radio, 5 Lines Foundation, or affiliate.
Yeah.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?